All right, if you missed Tuesday night's Race Chat Live, you missed the guys getting into the conversation of to stage or not to stage. Listen in.
To stage or not to stage. Now, this is a very interesting topic because I believe, in the beginning, 90% of race fans hated the idea of stage breaks. They hated the idea. I can remember the discussion here on the panel. Mr. CJ Sports, Craig Moore, Taz may have been a part of it. You possibly were listening in and giving us advice on the other side. But I remember the old, well, the stage breaks is not real racing and blah, blah, blah. I was always like in between. I never really was bothered by the stage. Of course, my middle name is Caution Flag. So, I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at a caution, right? I love cautions. That's why I'm the yellow caution flag, because I love cautions. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I just love the entertainment behind it. Like, there's a reason, there's excitement. There's a reason why this race has stopped. So stage racing kind of helped manipulate that flag, and that had become non-existent at some places. Well, this weekend, that old rear head popped back up again and reminded us all what a strategy race is. And some people find that race entertaining. My son is a sports car race fanatic. He's like, Dad, this is an amazing race. Man, I just can't believe it. Son, all I'm seeing is the top two cars. That's all the video cameras are showing. The top two cars, Michael McDowell and Chase Elliott. They're not showing anybody else in the entire field. Oh, Dad, there's strategy going on here. There's guys on different pit stops. It just never really excited me. I felt at the end of the race it was a good race for one reason only. Chase Elliott finished second. Now, the next reason was because Michael McDowell won the race. I was so glad Chase Elliott didn't win the damn race. I had to put that as my number one reason why. But outside of those two facts, the race was boring. And it reminds me of the reason why I prefer the stage racing. I prefer the cool down that they get. I prefer that. I mean, I honestly do. And I'll give us time to discuss it. Ms. Lee, you jumped on board already. You're ready to agree with me, and tell me why.
Well, restarts. That's the answer to your question right there. The restarts. Because that can possibly shake things up, and often does. So, since NASCAR outlawed drivers throwing water bottles out of the cars, the stage breaks, they set us up for those restarts. And that's where a lot of the excitement in racing comes from.
Everybody will tell you a Formula One race is 9 times out of 10 only exciting on the very first lap. And that's because they're all jockeying to see how many positions they can make up the moment that green flag comes out. And they don't have a rolling start. They start from position. They start from stationary. So they don't have a rolling start like we do. But outside of that, it creates the drama, Miss Lee. Taz, do you want to come in and argue, play devil as advocate? It feels like a really short subject here because I really feel like we have gotten so used to the stage racing, and it's so a part of racing now in itself that I'm not sure strategy racing is pleasing to the race fan. Help me here.
So I'm only for stage racing on 2 occasions. I like that during super speedway races, it gives the drivers a chance to breathe, relax, because obviously in super speedway races, like, things can be so tense because any little mistake you make, you could wreck a whole field, no matter what lap it is, because everyone's so bunched up. And I feel like stage racing, it helps, the driver to relax, recoup in the middle of a race, because if you don't have those stage breaks and those yellows don't come out as often, then you're just running 150, 200 laps, intense moments, and you don't have a chance to breathe other than going down a pit road and making green flag stops. And the other time, I would say I'm kind of for stage racing is the pit strategy deal, because I've noticed in the last couple of races we've had, you hear drivers and crews talk about, do we stay out and get the stage points, or do we come in and pit with the last few laps, sacrifice those points, and think about the bigger picture in mind, which is how we finish in the end for the final checker flag. So those are the only two really points I like about stage racing. Other than that, I kind of feel like they drag a bit, especially in short track racing. But I feel like but the only problem I have with, if we go back to short track racing before the next gen car, where the short track package was actually good, I feel like stage racing was not needed there, because I wanted to see the entertainment value, or when things start heating up, you know. I feel like stage racing kind of kills it in a sense. And I don't know, I'm not sure how I feel about them on the intermediate cookie cutter tracks. I guess it depends on which one, for the most part. Only because, like, if they're boring tracks, then yeah, I kind of want the stage racing for the entertainment value. But for the good racy cookie cutter tracks, I don't want those. I don't want those stage cautions. I want the racing to keep going.
So, what is your stance on road course stage racing?
Personally, to me, I like how NASCAR does it, which is basically you can have the stage racing, but don't throw the stage caution out, because of the sense that cautions can take a while on road courses, because it's not your typical 1.5 mile or 2 mile tracks that we're mostly used to seeing. These road courses are at least a little over 2 miles, about 2.5, 3, just in one lap. So cautions are already, dragging the race out in a sense, I personally feel like. So I'm not really much of a fan of having a yellow for stage caution, or having a yellow for end of stages. I'm kind of actually for what NASCAR does now. You can have stage racing, but just don't throw the yellow.
Yeah, that's what's going on, but I don't see really the point in stage racing and awarding points for something that's not an actual race. That's just like awarding some lap money or something, There's really no substance to having stage points being given for a race that doesn't have breaks. So you're not really racing to anything. And so it's contradictory. It's a way to scheme more points out of a race. But in reality, that you can't play to the strategy of that, because there's no way, at least when you're having cautions, you got a guy who can take the chance and gain extra points, which is what you want the back of the field to be more relevant, right? As time goes on, they can make those chances and stay out to get the stage win or to get the stage point. And that helps them build points throughout the season. It may knock them off for the second one, but they were going to finish 26th anyway. So when they get that 8th or 9th place and they're able to pick up a couple of more points, well, that takes their 26th place, and it actually gives them points for, an 18th place. Well, those points at the end of the year mean something when it comes to that charter, and it means more money. So you can't really be on the fence about when to have stages and when not to have stages.